but if I can get him to put the beer down, he's going to be perfect, or darn close.
Okay, I was laying back, as we used to call it in the penitentiary. Well, let me give it to you. I look at myself as the success story. It started in Virginia when I came to Virginia. I was a United States Marine.
Semper Fi.
1978, I graduated. By 1984, I was married to my first wife for 16 years, who passed away. By 1986, I lost a brother who was born the same day as me, a year apart, that got killed in Fairfax County crossing the streets, and he was in the Army. His case was handled like nothing I've ever seen before in my life, but plenty of things I've read about. Because I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I came to Virginia because I thought this was going to be, I looked at Little House on the Prairie, and I thought that. I actually thought that coming from the streets of where I come from. The same way that the gentleman, L, showed you, that's what happens in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where I'm from. And it's still happening today. Kids are dying on the basketball court from gunfire. It wasn't meant or intended for them. But in 1986, I started learning a whole lot about Virginia. And it's no offense to any organization here, but Virginia didn't care. When my brother got killed, he was in the Army and he was at the back gate of Fort Belvoir. Why was he handled by a civilian? Then the police called and told my mother, no use in you coming down here. He had a little alcohol on him, and in the state of Virginia, you could be 1% wrong and a driver 99% wrong. You're at fault. So being in the Marine Corps, I was thinking, I was out of Quantico, I was like, are they crazy? This is my brother. How do you tell a mother not to come and see about her child? Everything I learned about in church, everything I learned, because I grew up in church, you know, Brooklyn, Pilgrim Baptist Church, you learn, there's a lot, Reverend Ike, Holy House of Prayer. I came up and I learned a lot of things, but I wasn't prepared for that. Someone said earlier about a storm. Until that particular storm comes your way and knocks on your door, all of you are like Peters on the boat, waiting to see who's going to come and pick you up.
Can you address the question?
Yeah, I'm addressing
about the reentry.
Yeah, I'm addressing about the reentry. The reason why I came here is because I had to express this issue and reentry. See, when you go in, since I'm going to shorten it up, which really you can't do, but when it comes down to reentry, if you're going in with the problem, angry, and you get locked up, I started selling drugs, so I was angry the whole time. I went into prison. I went through all of these different situations in there, and then I had to come out. And I had to deal with reentry and everything else that went on, which was very hard for me because I didn't get to the root, which was the problem going on in my head about what happened to my brother. So I wasn't accepting the different places that were out there to offer anything because there was nothing out there offering me some help about what happened to my brother. But I'm going to tell you how I overcame. Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. From then, I became an ordained minister. And I started serving God. From there, I went to school. I also went to behavioral health care, which I have my degree in now. I go to Liberty University and working on my bachelor's. I have an organization called Hollaback-Restore, which now I sit on the government's task force for reentry and for restoration of rights. Something that didn't take place since 1851. Why I look at myself as being a success is because I didn't look back. I didn't look back at the situation that took place, and I knew that there wasn't going to be anything there. I had to seek a higher power that was going to get me around all of these other situations and calm me down a little bit so I could listen to some of these other, departments. I made Hollaback-Restore because I like to put my hand in it and make sure I take you from one end to the other. I don't leave you. Just like in the Marine Corps, we don't leave anybody behind. And I also went to the Gemeinschaft, so I'm familiar with the Hejira House as well. And I graduated. And everyone that was there that went when I went are in prison today.